I'm gonna switch.
Oh, hello, everyone. We're just going to mute everyone for a moment. Hello and welcome. My name is Crystal. This is my partner, Shine. Together, we are Unite's co-founders, and you're tuning into a very special episode of the Unite Show. Today, we are featuring our super dear friends, Paul and Kathie Scott of Quantum Life, and they're going to be sharing some amazing information about both cacao and breathwork. And they have teamed up with another amazing local Vancouver awesome person that we just got to meet at our last event, Dee of Maahi Wellness, who is going to be talking to you about Scalar technology. And I'm just so excited for you guys to get to hear. We got to hear just a little sneak peek at our last event and just to hear the combination of combining these different modalities is going to it's super cool, mixing the tech with the kind of ancient cacao. And yeah, so they've got a lovely little intro for you to talk about this. And then I think they're going to be sharing about their upcoming event where they're going to be mashing these two amazing modalities together. So do you have anything else to add, Shine? Nope. Okay, awesome. Oh, and do stick around. We are going to have time for everyone who's tuned into the call to be able to ask questions. So we'll have some Q&A time as well after we get through a little intros. So without further ado, Paul and Kathie and Dee, take it away. Oh, unmute, please, Kathie, dear. Oh, no.
I broke you.
Oh, Shine had you muted.
Okay, here we are. Are we there? We are. Well, first of all, just to give you guys some kudos, right? I've never known two people who've been so devoted as you two, and that you just kept going through thick and thin and have brought so much to people, that it's really something what you guys do. It's unparalleled in this city, in this day and age, especially. And just wanted to thank you, for giving us all a place to go, right? And unite. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kathie. Love you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's Crystal's favorite thing to do.
If you do it right, it'll like
pyramid,
parts out.
pyramid of love, pyramid or to the heart.
I think they've turned it off. We don't get our little
you get heart bubbles sometimes.
Heart bubbles.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we digress with the love. Take it away.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and so if you have any, if you know Crystal or Shine, support them, send them people, send them gratitude. That's my best advice there.
$2 million.
Yeah, that would help.
We're good.
Right? We can all use that. Just an extra 2 mil. Anyway, we're here with Dee tonight because, we went to experience the EES, and correct me if I've called it anything odd or anything, because I'm just getting familiar with it. We had so many pamphlets at our house. I was telling Dee earlier that everybody who came to our house, and we have a lot of people stop by and do this and that, and they brought us a pamphlet. I was getting a pile of the EES pamphlets, and I'm going to have to do this.
Who is this? Why do these keep coming to our door?
Go see this one. And so we went, and it was amazing. And I went for a session, Paul and I, with our friend who was visiting from Regina. And then later in the week, she and I went again. And then Paul went again with my daughter, and we all had different experiences. And it was like the expansiveness that we find in our meditation that people feel. And there was one person who was particularly talking about that afterwards. She was like, I was in the planetarium ANAHATA meditation, and the expansiveness that she kept feeling was just like, oh, wow. And it's like, that's the kind of feeling that we have noticed after the EES. Now, also, one of the things that I haven't even had a chance to talk to you, Dee, about it because we've been doing so many other things, but I also had a healing crisis after the second one. And it was something that I even went to Panchakarma for 5 months with Paul in India and thought it was gone. And that was back in 2012 that I did that. But there must have been a residual, and it came back up again. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. That's out. That's out of the system.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really nice healing process, Dee. And that's kind of what the meditation that Paul and I have been doing for a long time is capable of doing as well, is going in and bringing in the breath. And we put cacao in there, and it brings up all of those kinds of anything residual that could be, picking up a little dust every once in a while. And you wonder why you only make progress so far. And then you kind of slide back to start again. It's always two forward, one back, but it'd still be nice to just keep going forward. But sometimes the healing crisis is super necessary. And it was really good to feel that releasing from my system and how it had actually had a little tendril of my vitality. And I got that back. And so that's why we were so excited, to hear that, Paul had talked to Shine, and Shine had talked to Dee, and Dee was coming to the planetarium.
And that was an amazing event. And hi everyone to the uninitiated. I am Dee. I'm the founder of Maahi Wellness. We will be talking about the technology in a bit, but I have to say, Paul, thanks for recommending that I sponsor the event at the planetarium, because Shine and Crystal, I have to mirror what Kathie said. Just, I think your energy to organizing and to really bringing powerful experiences to people. So both your energy and your vision, not just with events, but I think everything else you're doing to build a tech platform. I'm really moved by that vision, and it's a very crystallized vision. And I think your dedication to bringing powerful experiences to people is very touching. So I'm really thrilled that I get to be a part of it in some capacity, and very thrilled that I got to support the last event. I also am going to come out and support the August event, so which I'm really happy about, because the first one was just so good that I thought, hey, I got to come back. I got to be a part of this. I got to be a part of the energy of creation. And so I'm excited to be there. And then, in terms of what I do, I run a wellness center, and Kathie touched upon it. And Kathie, thank you for sharing your testimonial. I didn't realize you went into a healing crisis, and that's actually not uncommon for people that come into scalar frequencies. So essentially, I run a wellness center, and it houses what is called the EES, or the EE system, which is short for the energy enhancement system. And what the energy enhancement system does is that it uses scalar frequencies, which is one frequency of healing, in order to create a very powerful regenerative field of healing and energy. And so a lot of people are like, what is scalar? And then I just tell them it's quantum energy. And then they're like, what is quantum? This is like another woo-woo term that I don't understand. So just for, just to break it down and to make it super accessible for people, scalar is anything that is faster than the speed of light. Just from a pure physics perspective. Anything that's slower than the speed of light, we can perceive with our 5 physical senses. So think about sound, and we used a lot of that at the planetarium, right? There was a lot of use of sound with the breath. Sound is a vibrational frequency, and with certain modulations of sound, you can create healing frequencies, or you can create dystopian frequencies. But essentially, regardless of what frequency you create with sound, you can hear it with the 5 senses. We can hear it, we can feel the vibration of sound. Same thing with light. Light, we can feel light, we experience light, we see light. So it's very much experienced with our 5 physical senses. But scalar are healing regenerative frequencies that exist in the quantum field. So that's anything that's in the non-physical field. So it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just that we can't perceive it with our 5 physical senses. So what's amazing is that these frequencies have now, thanks to quantum science and the huge leaps we've made in quantum physics, they've been programmed into computers, and they're made available in a room. And so it's unbelievable that when you walk into this room, it creates this powerful regenerative frequencies, and regenerative just means healing frequencies. And if you know David Hawkins's map of consciousness, some of you may know this, he essentially basically has an entire map of consciousness. And essentially, if you go from the emotions, the lowest emotions are apathy and shame and guilt, and they rank very low in terms of like the vibration of the frequency associated with it. So it goes all the way from 10 to like about 1,000. So when you walk into the EE system room, the frequencies that are being created there are between 700 to 1,000, which is in the enlightenment frequency range. So when the human body walks into that room, into that energy space, what's happening is that by principle of bioresonance, the body is starting to come into harmony with those frequencies. And when the body comes into harmony with those frequencies, it activates a certain principle. And that principle helps the body heal itself. So what's amazing is that it's activating the inner healer, because truly all healing happens from within, because we have the blueprint and the mechanism within us to heal ourselves. So technically, the right energy environment can activate that blueprint. And, I've seen some miracles with people. I've had people with Parkinson's or cancer come and spend one overnight session, and the arm tremor will reduce by like 90% in Parkinson's, and it'll stay that way. There's no regression. And really, it's working with the fundamental principle that the body can heal itself. And so it's not only like a healing technology in that sense. Where it's also powerful is the spiritual potential. Because it's such a high frequency, it just opens up this huge spiritual potential for people that are interested in spiritual opportunities. So that's where, to bring sacred medicine like cacao or other sacred medicine into the space, into that energy field, and to offer it is an exciting opportunity. And honestly, I always say that it's the age of Scalar. Because you probably heard of the Healy, of the Spooky 2 and other scalar frequency devices. So truly, we've entered a new age, and that age is the age of Scalar. And I think Scalar is here really, truly to help humanity make an evolutionary leap. Because what was possible on a longer timeline is now possible on a much shorter timeline, whether it's deeper healing or it's a spiritual jump in evolution. And that's possible with Scalar.
Whoa.
So cool.
Can I ask a question before we go on?
Yeah, for sure.
Did the pyramids have anything to do with Scalar? And I heard that the first, some of the first UFOs that apparently got shot down and crashed was because of the U.S. government's creating like a Scalar weapon or radio device or something. And so how was it developed?
So I don't know how exactly it was developed, because, the first known historic evidence of Scalar is from the 1960s, because the first Scalar room was created in France by this man named Antoine Prioret. And at the time, I don't know how he developed it, because now they created with, computers and modern technology. But in the 60s, they didn't have, like computer technology accessible, right? It wasn't necessarily accessible. So I don't know how he created the first scalar room in the 60s, but it was essentially the same concept, which is it was a way of generating enough scalar energy so that when a person walked into the scalar chamber, they could start to heal themselves. I've never heard of the history where UFOs were shot down by Scalar. So this is not history that I'm privy to in all of my research about Scalar. So I'd be curious. I'm going to go check it out. But now I know that a lot of it is deployed through, computers or whatever. And what was the other question, Sean?
Pyramids.
With the pyramids. So from all of the research that I've seen, yes, the pyramids, the pyramids have always, aligned in a way that they could actually channel scalar frequencies. So if you see what the Aztecs or the Mayans were working with, they were very much working with scalar frequencies, and so were the Egyptians.
Amazing.
Wherever the pyramid technology exists.
Right.
So cool.
Yeah, if I remember right too, Tesla is the one, he is the one that really brought scalar energy into the mainstream. So he was working with scalar energy for sure. And I think, and there might, so he was the one that really brought it forward, I think. And then others picked up his research later, right?
Yeah.
And really ran with it. They ran with
it's something to do with the radionics of some sort. I have a quantum biofeedback scalar energy healing device that I only ever use remotely, and it has great effect as well. There's no internet. I don't go on it. And it was interesting too, Dee, as you're talking about the inner healer and the resonant frequencies and all of those kinds of things, we teach quantum touch. And quantum touch talks about the inner healer. And the 12 chakra system from that's embedded in ANAHATA came out of the quantum touch field, because it was a channeling from Lazarus, channel from the United States, where the founder of quantum touch lived. And then he put the course together, and the whole quantum touch course is about tapping into your inner healer, right? And using your breath to move the energy and to direct it through the heart. And so it's kind of like quantum touching on a very high scale when you get into the EES.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And we were super stoked too, because I think when Dee, we were talking about, we also have quantum scalar technology too. Nothing like you have,
No.
but yeah, yours is like,
degrees.
yeah, yours is like over
Yours
the
is like
top.
through the roof.
It's so cool. But yeah, we've had it for a number of years, but it's quantum technology, quantum scalar, and the sound healing programs that come with the scalar technology. The scalar waves carry that sound current frequency like nothing else, and it goes for miles, but it feeds your whole system and creates this incredibly high field of energy where actually, if you're in touch with beings too, when them high frequency energies happen, the beings can now have a place to communicate with us through, because the frequencies are high enough for their frequency to be able to resonate to, and that's super cool too. So when I heard you had Scalar, and I came in a couple of times, I was blown away. And I love scalar energy, and we hang out in the field a lot, the quantum field. That's our thing. And it was so quick and easy to get into that field with that technology. And the amount of coded information is all high frequency information. It was amazing. I mean, both times I came out of it, it took me there was a bit of integration time, because it was pretty powerful and very resonant to what we're up to as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because people come in there for a 2-hour session and they literally go on voyages, especially when they are as, spiritually inclined, and they've invested in themselves over a period of time. They're so receptive to the energies that they go on a voyage. And then when they come back, they're like, hey, I had an experience with the angels and I had an experience with something else. And I mean, the beauty of running what I do is the stories and the spectrum of stories and experiences I get to hear is so vast. It goes from people encountering the angels to like falling into the depths of their own chakras and into their own trauma and then cycling through it and clearing blocks. And so it's been very powerful to see that something like that is possible through computers, and I think in the spiritual community, from what I've seen, sometimes there's this fear of technology. And because I think a lot of the old technology was always delivered through a shaman or through a healer, through the hands or through, psychedelic medicine. And it's interesting how, with Dr. Sandra Rose Michaels, who invented the EE system, she's essentially taken electromagnetic frequencies, which can be very distorted frequencies, and that's how they are delivered through our computers or through our phones or 5G towers. She's essentially taken those frequencies and then turned them into harmonious frequencies, because it's not necessarily that EMF is bad. It's how that EMF sine wave travels is what makes it either a distorted frequency or a harmonious frequency. So, this really reflects the polarity and the duality of the world we live in, right? So the same technology can be used to harm, or the same technology can be used to heal. All you have to do is change that frequency slightly. So one is healing and one is harming. Having said that, it didn't even occur to me that, because I have an E system at home, it didn't even occur to me that I could probably just sit in the room. So I could turn on my camera and we could stream it to the audience.
Yeah, totally.
I'll chat it up while you go do that.
Yeah, amazing. So cool. Yeah, it's while Dee goes and does that, why don't you turn it on speaker view, sweetie, so that we don't look at her M.
No, it is still you're showing. Don't
Oh,
worry. Yeah.
there you go. Anyway, yeah, well, while Dee is off doing that, I just want to add in a little bit more about Paul and Kathie and what the ANAHATA breath experience is. And we had, if you were on at the beginning of the call, we had a couple of people share how, they really enjoyed or Kathie was sharing how people were saying how deep the experience was at the planetarium. And I really loved, for anyone who doesn't know, we're doing a series of events with Paul and Kathie at the planetarium all summer. So we just did our June event. We're doing July 21st, August 25th, and September 22nd. Woohoo! And so what we're doing is we're combining, mixing Paul and Kathie's amazing 19-minute ANAHATA breath journey. So you're doing all 12 chakras, breathing through that, going very deep. We start root and we're in the planetarium. So you're getting to see you're in the full dome. We start at the root. We're in the pyramids. We're in the forests. You're kind of grounding into nature. And as we're going up through the chakras, we're getting up into the cosmos and traveling through the stars. So it becomes a really amazing, mostly when you do breath work and sound baths, so you've got your eyes closed. It's a very internal journey. And a lot of people were sharing with us how much they enjoyed getting to kind of do an internal external journey. And they would kind of, they would go in and then they would kind of like get inspired. They would open their eyes and they felt like they were just in this whole other world. And it just enhanced that experience so much and made it feel like, in a way, too, sometimes if you're doing breath work and it's getting a little intense or a little heavy, you can just open your eyes, be in the cosmos, and be held by the community. So it's really such a fun combination. We mix it with some wonderful sound healing, and then we have our vendor market beforehand where Dee had her amazing Scalar technology. We had another 20 different healers all offering amazing sessions to help everyone ground and really open up before the event. And then, of course, we also had Paul and Kathie's beautiful cacao, which just had rave reviews. There was one point I was in the dome decorating. Well, we got all set up. I was in the dome decorating the stage, and I came out kind of being like, "Oh, we need to get the cacao out to everyone." And I just started like checking, and everybody was just sitting there with these beautifully wrapped gold and pink little like magical pucks of cacao, and everyone just looked like these little kids, like it was just the cutest thing. Every single person was just like eyes lit up. Like, I don't know, I've always done cacao, drunk it in cups, and I find it's a little hit or miss for me, depending. Paul and Kathie always make amazing cacao, but sometimes different people have different recipes. It's a little gritty, a little spicy. There's all the chunks in the bottom. It's kind of like you're like, am I drinking dirt? What is this? And it's medicine. It's okay. It's good for me. I can get through this. And it was just such a fun experience and such a fun way that they kind of, these pucks of cacao came about because we did do ANAHATA in the planetarium 6 years ago.
7.
And we had the most wonderful adventure with blowing all the fuses because we had all the pots of cacao going, running around the planetarium. It's a very beautiful old historic building and it's not wired for cacao. So we had to run around the planetarium and, try and get these fuses all on, use different random break rooms with cacao pots. And then as the event, host and mother, I ran around picking up 230 cups of sludgy cacao bits spilling on carpets, and it was just the most fun adventure. So from that, we were really like, what are we going to do this time? And Kathie, I want you to share just quickly before we get back to Dee and the Scaler, how the wonderful pucks came about, because that was a beautiful synchronicity.
Well, when you said, let's do the planetarium again, and I said, well, I cannot do the pots, because it was like I did the pre-prayer, the pre-prep of the pots. So I figured I could get 50 people per big pot I had. So I had 5 big pots with my paste and my butter and all my stuff, melted and enough water in it that it wasn't going to solidify again. And then, of course, being a water snob, I had my jugs of purified water. I made everybody haul to the planetarium because we weren't having tap water in this thing now. And then, and then we had to heat it up. And we blew every fuse, as you say. And so when Crystal said that, I was like, I'd love to, but not with the liquid. And it was like, it's got to be a cacao ball, right? And so I was thinking of a bliss ball because when Paul and I started doing cacao journeys back in 2010, 2011, it was really hardcore. And we stayed hardcore for so many years. And we're still really hardcore. There's nothing in our cacao drinks or now our cacao chocolates that has got anything to impede the cacao in your system. Everything is there to enhance it. So we've taken the bitterness out with some monk fruit, a little bit of that, and then we've kept it so that you can actually still bite into it by combining the butter. The butter is what you get white chocolate from, and it's solid, but it melts very easily. And so then when you combine it with your cacao paste, the dark chips, it becomes softer. And so we were able to actually make chocolates out of this with just cacao butter, cacao paste, and some monk fruit and a few drops of essential oils. And depending on which batch you were in, and some salt. And somebody got enthusiastic with the salt, the rock salt. And there were some people who were doing this, one of the cacao journeys, but that cacao presentation has changed our relationship with cacao, honestly, because like you were saying, you were picking up cuts with the sludge in the bottom and the liquid sloshing around, and the emulsification of the water and the cacao and the butter is really hard to maintain. So when I'm doing a private cacao journey, I'm always stirring and stirring, trying to keep something moving, and then once it's in the cup, it starts going down to the bottom again. And anybody who's not really keen on it isn't going to tip that back and have it. It's sitting at the bottom of the cup, so a lot of cacao gets wasted. And you're not getting that full ceremonial dose. So to be able to put the whole dose together and in a solid little tiny round, delicious, like it's like a high-end chocolate from Thomas Haas or something like that. Only you're going to take out, like, it's so potent that the journey you go on. And when you were coming out to see if everybody's getting their cacao, and I realized at some point, because this is our first event with cacao cups instead of cacao cups. And so I'm realizing the vendors aren't going to get their cacao unless I go give it to them. So I'm running along and giving out cacao to vendors and people sitting with them and all of those kinds of things. And so by the certain point before we actually went in, there was this fever pitch of like this little bliss ball moving along the hallways. Planetarium, and everybody was like, yeah, I'm happy.
It was so good. Like I said, I was away for like half an hour getting the stage all set up and ready, and when I came out, it was like literally a different event. Everybody was like high in the best, like big open hearts. If you don't know cacao, if you're new to cacao, it's not like a psychedelic where you're going to go on a big trip and start seeing a lot of things. It really is just the most beautiful heart-opening medicine. I'm highly sensitive to stimulants, and for me, all it does is make me feel just that juicy kind of super love sweet, like on the best day after a beautiful bath and a lovely conversation with a girlfriend, and just feel all smushy. Like that's for me what cacao is. It just enhances whatever else you're doing. So for everyone before we get back to what Dee is up to here, I just want to let everyone know who's tuned in and curious and excited to check out the next ANAHATA experience. Stay tuned till the end because we have a special discount code we can give you to join us in July or August. So stay tuned for that. And did you have anything else to add, Kathie? I interrupted you there.
No, not really. Although, like we've been having a good laugh about, the ecstasy that was kind of wafting around and stuff like that. But, to just to honor what does happen sometimes. We went into ANAHATA, and ANAHATA is like people have done that meditation with us every month for years and years. Like some people are, I'm on Cacao Journey 63, and they're getting something new out of it every time. And the cacao does open the heart. And then sometimes when you get into that meditation and especially when you're in a place where you open up and you look and there's the universe above you, sometimes you go into a place where some stuff gets kicked up a little bit. And, just hold your heart in that space, because cacao is with you. You've got your whole tribe around you, and we're always available afterwards if anything comes up that you think is over the top. But yeah, it's a beautiful heart opening, and it can really bring you through some stuff. Like if you've been working on a nub of something in yourself and you can't get that thing pushed through, this will do it. It really will. It will start to need the hard ground that we can sometimes hit when we're working in the shadows and going deep in.
We had a friend who messaged us and said that kind of had this crazy like episode a few days after the event, and he like things he kind of like had a breakdown for a breakthrough, and all this past trauma stuff just came up, and he couldn't really hold it in. He just had to like scream and yell and roll on the floor and like have his thing, and he's feeling better now and he's getting support. But he said that's never happened in his whole life. Like he's never had that extreme of a release. And so I guess it's be warned.
It's powerful. It's
He
powerful.
went through it intuitively.
I guess so.
And we're just saying that's beautiful and that's wonderful, because we don't want to seem fluffy in this, because we love cacao and the wonderful things it does, and we love breath work and the beautiful feeling it can give the body. And when you do it in a collective, it's just like, are you kidding? I feel like I'm part of a collective, of a tribe that's really like breathing together. And at the same time, it's like we honor the work she does in such a big way, because that's what we beyond the ANAHATA cacao journey is work with people going through those pieces. And sometimes it's not like we're trying to create clients or anything, but sometimes there is a little bit of a kickback. And I'm sure you can handle it yourself, because like Dee was saying, in Quantum Touch, as well as in the EES systems, we talk about the inner healer, right? And this is what the whole thing is for, is to get us in touch with our inner healer, right? We're not there to get you to refer you back out to a whole bunch of stuff. Like this will keep giving and giving and giving. There's certain things that you'll just keep going and going deeper in, and you will get your skills built as you go.
Yeah. And that's
good stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta
go ahead, Sean.
Right.
Yeah, it's great though. It's just so good. That's why I'm also so stoked about doing this with Dee and the EES technology, because they're so compatible in so many ways, and and it's always wonderful. I mean, why do we do it? Because we love doing it, but the effects it has for people, like, is why we do it. I mean, deep healing. There was one lady came in there with a walker, and
Miriam.
Yeah.
Sorry, Miriam, if you wanted anonymity, we just blew
it. Yeah. And anyway, she came in, and she's an older lady, and she's been challenged for quite a few years, and she was telling us, I've traveled all over the world. I've done everything you can imagine. And I just came back from a 7-day Joe Dispenza retreat and all of that. And anyway, later she said, you know what? That's the most powerful experience I've ever had. And she said, I'm healed. And she was the one that she bought out the front row. Bringing all.
She's like, I'm coming next time. Like, I'm taking it all. Yeah.
She's like, holy crap! I can't believe what happened in there. Yeah. And it is magic in that it combines a whole bunch of different things together, right? We took what we teach in Quantum Touch, 12 energy centers that are a 12 chakra system, which in itself really takes people to all kinds of different places. And we also were initiated in the breath that we use in India. And it's about a 5,000-year-old breath technology. And it's a kind of breath people aren't used to. They haven't experienced before. I'm also a breath work facilitator. I was doing it years ago. But what
You
I
could call
love,
it traditional breath work
yeah,
where you lie
conscious
down.
connected breath and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how powerful breath is and what it can do for you. And you go, wow, that's just my breath. It's crazy, right? But in this particular breath, it's very powerful for cleansing, clearing, and opening up these energy centers. And that's why a lot of people have pretty profound healing that goes on during it, right? And also that it's a particular kind of breath that everybody gets in rhythm with. And after a while, that becomes like you were saying in your newsletter, Kathie, like a murmuration of birds. It's like we all come into the oneness together. And when that oneness frequency happens and we all come into oneness together, it's like the field goes from here to whoop, like that. And people are having releases from that morphogenic field that we're creating together, right? And the thing is that the way it's designed is to help everyone through the breath and energy work to come into the 0 point field. To come into that field where all the information we need for perfect health and what we're here to do spiritually, what we came to do on purpose, it's all available there, right? And when we teach in quantum touch, the way you get into the quantum field is through the heart. The heart gives you access to the field, and having Mother Cacao open everyone's hearts and then going into the field with an open heart. And the meditation is designed at the end to not only get in the field with an open heart, which receives all the information, but to then bring it back and integrate it into the body so it can be lived in a person's life. And that's the idea. It's a full trip into the field to bring it and then to bring it back down. And then to have someone like Jerry Devoyne, a chant master, doing sacred sound with the universe. We're all looking at the universe and we're like the Silver Surfers going, through the cosmos together, right? And everybody's like, it's the best ever, It's such a cool trip. So there's so many things come together, and that's also why we're really excited about bringing this and marrying it with the technology
The
Dee has,
amplification.
because they're a perfect match, and I can't wait to see how that goes because it's all dancing in the same kind of field, right?
Yeah. So exciting. It really is. It's such a fun combination. And yet, for anyone who doesn't know yet, I think we have the link in the bio for the event page there that Paul and Kathie and Dee are doing this special exclusive little intimate private, I think it's limited to 10 people, 10 spots at Maahi Wellness with the Scalar technology, where you'll be doing the cacao and going through the chakras. So it will be a very different vibe than at the planetarium, where we're the big collective and the dome. And this is going to be a very powerful, juiced up, really amazing offering. September 7th, I believe, is the date. Yep. And I think 3 to 6 was the scheduled allotted time. So if you can't stay on till the end, I know we'll be talking more about that. Do make sure you go to quantumlife.ca. Yes.
Yeah.
Quantumlife.ca, look under their events and you will see this event there and be able to save your spot, because I think they only have a few left because it's very limited special offer that they're just this brand new mashup that they just launched. So I think we should move on and see what Dee's got happening in the background there and let her tell us what those magical, wonderful things are behind her.
Yeah, does it feel like you're in the Matrix? So I'll talk about that. But one of the things, just to kind of pull a thread from what Kathie and Paul were saying about the ecstasy, I have to tell you, I've never eaten a puck of cacao, and because I was at the booth and I was talking to people and I was nibbling at my puck of cacao because the instruction went around we had to eat it before 7. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of cacao. Let me just like work on it while I talk to people. And I'm telling you, after 3 bites, I couldn't talk to people because my heart just started to open, and I'm very sensitive to energies, and it's no wonder that life brought me to into the sphere of scalar medicine and energy medicine because I've been very sensitive to energies, and I think with my spiritual practices I've become more and more sensitized. And after about 2 bites or 3 bites, I could feel my heart just starting to flower and this pulsation going from the front and the back of my heart chakra. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to have a conversation while I'm pulsating and thrusting my chest at people? And it was very apparent as to how potent that medicine is. And, having worked with both the non-psychedelic plants and the psychedelic plants, as well in psychedelic medicines, I've realized that sometimes the most potent medicine is not necessarily always psychedelic. And I think sacred cacao, and I think what you guys are doing with sacred cacao is absolute testimony to that. Because it was the wave of ecstasy, but I think it was a wave of love as well.
Mm.
It was truly a wave of love because even when, because I was one of the vendors and we had a booth, and so we got to see people walking in and the energy that they walked in with and how the energy started to transmute itself as they were nibbling on their cacao, and that like, that wave that went through, and then the energy and what it transmuted through after the event. Those were all very different energies. It was so palpable. And it was palpable with the first couple of bites of cacao too. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, for you guys, like if you haven't been to this event at the planetarium, I highly recommend it. Like the next one's in July. Don't miss it. Take your friends, take your family, take everyone. Uh, because it truly is an experience. And then I was telling Shine and Crystal this as well after that, wow, just the visuals and putting that cosmic sort of like environment together with the cacao and the breath and the sound and stacking medicine. And that's what I call it. It's like
Yeah.
stacking medicine. And the environment that you're in when you're stacking medicine plays a huge role. So I think the planetarium was really fascinating. And I'm so sensitive to environments and so sensitive to energies. So it really was quite a treat. It was a good perk. And because I was one of the sponsors, I got to bring 10 of my friends and I just got to get tickets. And they were so thrilled. And I was getting tons of messages after. They're like, wow, Dee, I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Amazing.
So it was
Did
a
you end
really
up doing any of the before and after shots with the camera to see the aura or whatever it was?
No, but I will
Oh,
in August because I
yeah,
did
yeah.
think of it, right? Because it was the first time I was doing it. But yeah, so I do have a bio well. So if you guys stop by in August, come check it out. We have a bio well, which basically reads the energy and the chakras in the body. So you could do the before and after. So we didn't set it up in time, to get it all going because it was our first event. We weren't as organized, but we will in August.
Nice.
And
So
I'd love
fun.
to get people, I'd love to read people before and after. I think we'll have to get 20 volunteers and then take shots of the before and after. And then Kathie and Paul, maybe you'll have some energy readings as testimony.
Cool.
That's cool.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
That'd be
cool.
super cool. We'd love
Yeah.
that.
And the other thing about the cacao that everybody should know is like some were trying to pace themselves so they could just eat it right before they go in so that it's at its highest potency. And the thing is that, it's in everything. And as soon as you just even have it in your hand, if it's a little hard to bite in because I've been keeping it cool so it didn't melt, just warm it up with a little prayer. And you start nibbling that, and it's got a tail on it. Like, it was kind of fun for all those people to be so charged up together while they were out in the light and lucid with each other, right? Before we went into like the cosmos and started breathing like wild people and did all of that. And the cacao was working all the way through, and so it doesn't matter when you have that cacao puck or cup. We got to think of a good name for that. I called it puck, and my daughter said, "That's so Canadian of you, Mom."
Hey, you got to eat some of our pucks. We got some pucks.
Give 'em my pucks.
I like cup, like a peanut butter cup.
Yeah, like a Reese cup, right?
Yeah, it's like a Reese's cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you mention a bit about the properties, what it actually does, cacao,
Well, yeah. Okay.
We're
So
gonna get
it's the knowledge of, so it's been like this about 1700s that they started really studying cacao and knowing about what it is. And that's when they called it theobromine. It was named by a Swiss scientist and back in 1753. And what that literal translation means is food of the god. Food of the god. And then as time went on, it became food for the shift, the one that we're all in right now, if you hadn't noticed. And then, as when Paul and I started doing this, we didn't really, we just did our own thing here in Vancouver. We didn't really hear about anybody else doing cacao journeys or anything else. But while we were sitting here for a decade doing cacao journeys in the quiet of Vancouver, the world was popping off and going deep into the science of cacao and cacao journeys and how it can help transform you. What was your question again?
Yeah, this the theobromides. It's
You're
a
right.
superfood.
So
I mean,
the
there's so many cool things.
and
Yeah,
the
right.
anandamides, they release the chemicals from the brain that give you that happy feeling. And then there's vasodilators that actually open the heart, actually open it up. And there's the highest source of magnesium in one food. And it just goes on and on. The things that cacao is good for, just for your body. And when we're talking about cacao, we're not talking about cocoa, because they're spelt differently and they're pronounced differently. And one is the the genus of it, and the other is the highly processed beyond. Its integrity has been lost. So all of these things that happen that we're talking about with raw cacao, you can't get it out of a bar or a box, no matter what percentage they say you have. It all depends on how it's been processed, if it's been Dutched, what food regulations it's gone through. And so the power of this cacao has been emerging into the world. And like anything else that's coming up, there's controversy around it. There's a lot going on around who owns the cacao, and who's allowed to have the cacao and how, and and then there's a lot of business getting built around the cacao business. And we've stepped away from all of that pretty much. We don't really care about what the controversy is. We're just going steadily forward with Mama Cacao. And, I've taken courses, cacao practitioner courses out of curiosity after a decade of doing these journeys ourselves. And it's really interesting, people just don't know how to behave around it in some ways, and they've become over reverent in some ways as well, in terms of ceremony. Like, you got to bang a drum, you got to know Reiki and stuff like that. And it's just like Mama Cacao just wants you with your life to show up and let her help you open your heart, and that's it. And all that other stuff doesn't really matter. We're all humaning here, and this planet is all of ours. And this holy being is here to open our hearts. And it's the most gentle medicine of all. And it's a superfood. It's recognized as one of the most powerful antioxidants by the American Medical Association. And it just goes on and on and on. My daughter is a daily cacao drinker. She's like a cacaoholic. She gets up in the morning and the Vitamix, lots of cacao and something else. And then that goes on all day. And she just feels it's essential to her health, and we are more occasional, special occasions, definitely all our cacao journeys. But now that we have the pucks. That's what I was alluding to earlier when I was saying to Crystal, the introduction of this new delivery system for the planetarium changed our relationship. Suddenly it's like, oh, like we can have some ceremonial cacao ready for any time. It doesn't, it's given us permission too to really bring cacao deeper into our daily life, as opposed to, because we're ceremonial, we reserve it for special occasions and stuff like that, as it's not our because we've always also been hardcore with it. No sugars, no sweeteners, no milks, no nothing, just pure paste and water. And that's kind of brutal in some ways. And so now with the monk fruit and the butter and stuff like that, it's made such a huge difference for us with the cacao. So that's the cacao piece. Did I answer? Did I get anywhere near?
Awesome. No,
Okay.
no,
This is my favorite local brand.
Aha.
Or it's got only coconut sugar, and I respond very differently to that than regular sugar. And it's just got, cacao and sea salt, and that's it.
Salt of the earth. What a great, is that PJ Barnum's?
No, it's a woman named Emma Smith, and it's called Zimt, and you can get it at Eternal Abundance or Choices or Whole Foods. And I have this, like, I have multiple daily. I'm the same. Like, I just love. And someone was saying, some scientist person is all over saying they did studies, and it increases stem cell production just naturally within your body, and of course all the minerals and all the other stuff. So yeah, I've been really guided and confirmed by chatting with my higher self that, like, this is good to have as much as you want. It's the healthy cacao is really, really good.
And the difference between cacao as as a journeying medicine and other medicines is that the other medicines, usually there's a recovery period from the medicine. The medicine itself isn't the healer, it's the experience you're having. And usually you're coming out of that, working with your body, bringing it back up and bringing it into full vitality again. Whereas cacao is a journeying medicine that increases your vitality as she opens the door to your heart. You could maybe a little bit more about some of the other medicines, Dee. I could be speaking out of turn that some other medicines like ayahuasca heal the body too, in some ways, or and even some of the more modern renditions of medicines like ketamine. There's a clinic that does ketamine for people, and that is a definite journey. Those horses. And it heals. It's a healing part. It heals the body, but does it have other aspects of it that are not healing, or that take a toll on the body in any way? Something you have to pay for later?
Yeah, I think there are some psychedelics. I think if you work with mushrooms or ayahuasca, they can be very hard on the body. I mean, because they can be very dysregulating to the nervous system based on how they show up. And these can be harsh medicine because they go straight to the dysregulating trauma at times. And sometimes they dysregulate people further. So, my opinion, or just my life experience, is that mushrooms and ayahuasca are not really for everybody. This is just my life experience. I think a majority of people don't need harsh teachers. They've had so much trauma in their life, and life has been a harsh teacher, that times they need gentle teachers like sacred cacao, jaguar, ketamine, although that's synthetic, So there are other, teachers that are far gentler than ayahuasca and mushrooms. But that might not be a popular opinion, because I know that not everyone.
There's a lot of opinions. I try not to make one, so I don't get it. But the other thing too that was really amazing too is that you had a couple of these going in the little lobby before the tunnel, before the dome, right? So you were booming out the EES as well.
Yeah, and interestingly, I did program it to the ANAHATA, which is the heart chakra, because that was the theme of the night, the ANAHATA. And yeah, I just had people come by, and I have a cube, so it's very portable. I can move it. What you're seeing behind me is the 4 unit. So effectively there's 2 units there and 2 units just that way. And then the way it works is that, with the EEsystem, it creates a wave and an anti-wave that collide. And when they collide in the center of the room, it creates a 0-point field. So effectively, when we work with medicine, we travel out and voyage into the 0 point field. What's incredible is that this has been created in the room. So effectively, like it's available in the room for us to be present in that energy field. And the 0 point field, again, for the uninitiated, is the field of infinite possibility, right? It's where all possibilities exist. And that's why healing happens in the 0 point field, because there is the healed version of ourselves, the highest version of ourselves, and every other version of ourselves. And we get to choose in that 0 point field. And so I think that's the promise of bringing these two technologies together. And I'm just going to share this quick vision. And I do have to drop off in about 5 minutes because my puppy is going to pee on the carpet soon if I don't get her out. Because she's like popping at the door. And like a little chocolate lab, and she's so cute. But yeah, she's got to pee soon. So effectively, one of the visions that I saw last November, we were getting ready for a sound journey at Maahi in the EEsystem, and I was shown this vision about how the EEsystem, it is primarily a nervous system healing field. So what's happening is that there's a lot of regeneration that happens on a cellular level, but the reason that happens is because the nervous system, even within 2 hours in the EEsystem, goes from that anxious, sympathetic fight or flight response state to a deeper parasympathetic rest and digest state. So now suddenly the body's taking all of that energy was allocating to fight and flight into a deeper healing process, because now there's energy that can be used for deeper healing. Or if people come just to recharge their batteries, or if they're well enough and they come to have a spiritual experience, it's taking all that energy in their body and allocating it for them to have a higher experience. So one of the visions that I was shown when I was setting up for this journey is that when the nervous system relaxes, the heart starts to open, because the heart cannot open if the nervous system is really jacked up and very sort of like, bound up. And one of the things that was being shown in this vision is that when the heart opens, because the heart has its own magnetic resonance field, and that's measurable, the Heart Math Institute has measured it, then it allows the nervous system to relax further. And when the nervous system relaxes further, the heart can open even more. And then the subsequent visions and meditations I was shown that I should bring in medicine that works really well to create this virtuous cycle, because there is no limit to the heart opening. So what I was shown in this vision is that it is possible for human beings, as a part of their awakening, to carry a supersonic heart, which means that the frequency of the radiance of the measurable field of the heart could not just be 600 times that of the brain or 500 times that of the brain, which is how they measure it now at the Heart Math Institute, that it could be 10,000 times that of the brain. It could be 100,000 times. It could be 1,000,000 times. And truly that there is no limit. And I was shown these visions of like supersonic heart beings that, because we are in an evolutionary impulse and an evolutionary leap on the planet, I was shown this vision of future beings with these supersonic hearts that are walking around, and their vibration impacts everybody, the consciousness on the planet and the consciousness of other beings in other dimensions. And so when I was given that vision, I realized, okay, one of the things I do want to bring in is medicine that works well with the EEsystem, because when people drop into the frequency, their nervous systems heal so quickly, so quickly. It's at unprecedented speed. So some of the tests that they've done with the heart rate variability monitors and neural check, which is another way of measuring the health of the nervous system, is that even after 2 hours, for the sample size of people that went through EEsystem sessions, they found that the nervous system relaxed significantly. But the other thing they found is that the neural system, and what the neural check shows, is your biological age versus your chronological age. And they found that everyone's biological age reversed within 2 hours. So that is the promise of scalar frequencies, that, when our nervous system relaxes so deeply, there's a reverse aging process that starts in the body. It's not just healing, it's also reverse aging. And they found this even with longevity studies, that even with just 2 hours, the telomeres at the end of the DNA are starting to extend, which again is an indicator of reverse aging. So what we're talking about in that sense is a level of immortality, right? Because immortality is not that we live here forever. Immortality is that our body is regenerating faster than it's degenerating. And that truly is the promise of Scalar. So that's where Paul and Kathie and I started talking about this, because if the nervous system is so deeply relaxed, then our experiment is, well, how deeply can people go into this being led by sacred cacao? And how much can the heart open? Because clearly, based on that vision that I received, there is no limit to how much our heart can open. It seems like we're meant to be supersonic heart beings. So we'll have to find out. I think we'll find out what the marriage of sacred cacao and Scalar looks like. So that's a story for another day. But effectively, when you come into an E-System room, that's what you're coming into. What I have at home is a very small down, scaled down version. What I have at the center is the 24 unit, which is the big mama. It's the very potentized version. So yeah, I'd say come check it out. I mean, the only way to know is to come check it out and then or sign up for the Sacred Cacao Journey there on September 7th.
Where's your center?
It is right behind Finlandia Pharmacy. It's at
beautiful.
West 8th. So if people know Finlandia Pharmacy, then we're literally just right behind them. We share the same landlord.
Nice.
The Real Estate Board of Vancouver. But if you don't know where that is essentially right off West Broadway and 8th, where it's Spruce and West 8th.
And is there anything like digital? Is there an app or anything that's portable that people can download or buy if they don't want to go or after they go in for a session?
No, it's one of those things where you do have to come into the
You gotta
space.
come in. Yeah.
It's not quite the same when it's remote, because I've offered it remotely on Zoom to people versus being in the room. It's potent, like when because the 0 point field is happening right in the center of the room in the collision point. So it's not something that can really be streamed. I mean, I'm sure people can feel the frequency if they're sensitive enough, but something like that. It's a whole other ballgame when you're in the room.
Well, we'll come soon again. We've been just super busy.
Yeah. We're gonna come in and film a session there too and get some live
Let's go together.
live experiences. Let's do it.
You and Sean, like Crystal, a session, Sean. You guys should just come and experience.
Yeah, we're coming.
Yeah. Sounds good. So I do have to hop here before my pup goes pee and poo all over the carpet.
Right.
You can come back if we're still here.
Okay. I'm gonna hop off. All right, Paul and Kathie and Shine and Crystal. Have a beautiful rest of your life, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dee. Take care.
Yay. Here we are. Anything else you want to share about the ANAHATA or the or I guess maybe we'll do questions quick, hey?
Sure.
Questions?
Yeah, any questions from the audience? Anything anyone wants to know about cacao or Scalar? Nothing? All good. So yeah, anything else you want to share, Paul and Kathie, about either of the upcoming events, the ANAHATA at the Dome or at the EEsystem?
Well, we just love doing this.
We're excited, because too, it was impactful for so many people, but also, you haven't done something for a while. You haven't done something for a while, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun because now we have all these ideas, how to keep making it better and better. And yeah, so we're pretty stoked. And we'll have Jerry. We're checking in with someone else, but the sacred sound current will be there, and everything will be even that much more potent, I think, for this next time around. And again, what I was saying, what was kind of cool about this breath is by coming into harmony, creating that field together. We got a lot of feedback from people that, wow, I've never breathed for that long, and broke through to that kind of a level, and done it in coordination with others, because it's a kind of a breath that we all do together the same way, although each person has their own journey and goes at their own pace.
We can take off.
Right. Yeah. It's not like rigid, but it does unify. We unify through breath. We unify through the heart. And that brings us into the field together. So that's a cool kind of experience, because in conscious connected breath, a lot of times people are all having different experiences, right? And with this one, it helps unify and bring us into a rhythm. And I think, what we're missing a lot of is that, because in community, we used to have community songs that we'd all sing together around the fire, and communities had songs for doing menial tasks. They would sing together and it would just make everything joyful. Like any menial task would become through community and breath and singing, and it's that like a joyful experience. And it feels to me like we've gotten separated out so much from each other, that people are really enjoying coming together and reigniting almost like an ancient DNA that we all have that remembers when we were in community, we were in unity, we were in unity with nature. We were in a whole different place, not in such a fast society. So it's cool for people to just come and slow down for a moment and check in and say, hey, what's happening here? And I'm like in my own journey really quick when I'm witnessing others, because I'm a transpersonal therapist as well. I've been doing that for many years. And to watch people go into an awakening experience to me is the greatest thing ever, to go there. And so what we're also holding the vision for it will be perfect for you wherever you're at. Wherever you're at, it's going to enhance and take you forward where you need to go and be, right? But it also has the potential. Some people like had to have waking experiences, like awakening experiences, and they're just popped into a different reality and it stays, it stays. And they're just like, wow, that was pretty amazing. So that's something that we bring together. So when we had a lot of our own light tribe there that are journeying with us a lot, and God bless them all, because they came in as well as all your healers. So we have all these healers out there as well, and they're bringing it, man, and they're all going into the healing mode. So it's all this energy pouring into the planetarium. And really, when we connect to the light within, we're going into the inner universe. So it's taking us to the inner universe, right? Where we're the inner verse, and there's a whole nother universe of experience inside that people may not experience if they get too externalized in their life, and they don't realize what's available in here. So that's another thing. And then to see the universe inside is just as vast as the universe that we see in the planetarium.
Yeah. I love the idea that when we're in a group setting like that, for me anyways, my personal journey and healing and the energy I feel can be expanded. It feels like because of the field that is created, my personal journey is deeper and bigger, and also just easier to kind of drop right in and just and let it be bigger. And then on a like in the city, they've done those studies where 1,000 people meditated for however many days in DC, and crime was down like 20% or something measurable, like something really different. And so I feel like there's something so magical about creating these spaces, and then just the same way that the energy field in the planetarium is heightened, and so it's easier to drop in and it can bring up stuff. I think we do that, to maybe a smaller extent, but to this, even just the surrounding areas and to Vancouver, and who knows how far that travels. But there's something powerful about that, just us being in this zone and then that rippling out. And a big part of our vision for Unite has been that as people begin to heal and are able to be more stable and grounded and emotionally intelligent and know how to manage their energy and their emotions and not be in a state of like projection or whatever. And that's what a lot of, I feel like a lot of people have this vision of community and want to live in community, want to buy land and grow food and live together. And a lot of what breaks up those communities is interpersonal stuff that comes up, and it just not being able to just do it. There's whatever happens, and it just kind of breaks apart. And so I feel like there's this healing that needs to happen first in the people who want to be a part of those types of communities, and then we can actually co-create and have companies together and communities together. But there's an important piece to do before that. And so we're living in a beautiful place in White Rock, and we're just thinking, okay, what's next? Because each house, we've had 3 houses together now, Crystal and I, and we'll have roommates and sort of create this mini community. And we're thinking, okay, what's next? And it definitely feels like some sort of eco village, families, kids, nature, just feels like that's the next level and what we're doing next. And we were on a call with someone yesterday, and they said that they have a fund that's only investing in those types of projects, and that there's people raising lots of money for that kind of stuff, and that's what they want to fund is these kind of eco communities and how to build more of them and create more community work globally. So yeah, it feels like it's coming, and it's all part of the process. Yeah.
And you know what you're pointing at too, Shine, is if we're going to get together and form larger foundational communities for people to spring from and to branch out into bigger pieces, it's not just you have to do your work kind of thing. It's like creating processes that are enjoyable, like the ANAHATA cacao journey.
Right.
Will clean up so much shit in your life.
Instead of having a big family meeting.
Have had fun.
Right, family
And
meeting.
raked you over the coals, held your feet to the fire, made you
Yeah.
dig for every bloody thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
It'll just start happening, right? And these are the kinds of things we need, as well as direct pointing at what goes on that pulls something down, right? Whether that's your life, your job, your relationship, or your whole community.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what a lot of those rituals and even the singing while doing the laundry by the river or whatever, that's part of just what creates those cohesive communities. And I heard there's a tribe in South America somewhere that still lives off the land, builds with bamboo, and their rope is from the forest. And if someone is out of alignment, they're like, get out of here. You're not welcome right now, because you're gonna like have an accident or cause an accident, and like go heal in the forest or go do something else. Like, people need to be really on point when we're building, like no ropes, no ladders up 200 feet in this treehouse. And it's just like, yeah, that's how nature works. Like, you kind of have to be on your game. And I feel like that's what we're stepping into, is just a higher level of accountability and alignment and responsibility. And then those can be examples. And part of our vision is to have these, eco, or like a center in the city that has food and store and classes and event space and spa and healing and EE systems and the whole bit. And it's like a big spot that people will just hang out at a lot. And it's you just go there and your tribe's there, and it's the best ever. And then eventually,
like a community center,
like a full on for our community,
with
like a real,
way more cool stuff.
a real community center. And then eventually building eco towers where people can actually live together. And then there can be, short-term spots, and you can have a membership where you can go to your eco village, and then you stay in the eco tower or the eco community in the city. Then you could travel around, and Crystal calls it retribing humanity. And that's part of the bigger vision for Unite. She had to hop off for something, but yeah, it's fun. It's gonna come. Yeah.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
Thank you all very much. This was great. Thank you.
So nice.
Yeah, I loved having your
Have a good
energy
night.
there, Jessica.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big smile.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
This was wonderful. I'm a breathwork facilitator also, and I work with a woman who also is, she creates her own cacao, and we're in New Jersey, so we're nowhere even near you guys. I would love to be able to get there, but unfortunately we're a little bit a ways away. But she also, like I said, she creates her own cacao. Her name's Gabrielle Brick, and she actually had she had the first. It was a raw chocolate heirloom bar that was in Whole Foods back in 2016,
Okay, cool.
maybe.
I've
So
heard of her.
she's really, yeah, she's really, she's amazing. But I was thinking about all of this and her and I working together. And when I saw the breath work, the cacao, and then the sound, I thought I need to learn as much as I possibly can, because I do believe in this whole stacking of all these different modalities and bringing it together the way that it really does help people to heal. And I mean, I've seen miraculous healing just through breath work, through Reiki. So when we start bringing it all together, it's just, I believe, what everyone needs right now. So this is just so enlightening and beautiful. And I just can't wait to learn more.
How did you
Thank
hear
you.
about this?
I am part of, there's a group, it's a networking group. I think it was from Dee.
Oh, cool.
It's called Light Deo. I don't know.
Light Dow. Oh, I put it in there. That was for me. That's fine.
Oh, that was from you.
Yes.
Okay. So
Amazing,
yeah, so I
amazing.
actually from Angel Gambino, that's how I ended up coming over to this group, and it's the whole networking group. So yeah, so when I saw this, it popped up, and the company that I actually originally founded, it was a children's company for mindfulness and meditation, and that's why I was part of that whole networking group. But I've kind of stepped back from that a little bit, and so I haven't been so vocal in the chat groups. But I've been watching still, just to see where everybody's at and what's going on, trying to keep a pulse on all of it. So when this popped up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I definitely need to check out. So this is great. And I hold retreats for women, and this is another thing. So I want to bring it all together during retreats. So I think it's just, it's amazing, all of this. So thank you.
Because you're into breath work as well, what I thought was really cool that Dee brought up is, I've been at this game a long time, doing breath work years and years ago.
With Stanislav Grof.
Yeah, with Stanislav Grof and all that kind of stuff. So I go way, way back, rebirthing, I've been through all of it. But I'm always checking in every once in a while because I want to see what's going on, right? I want to see what the new is, right? And so I took another practitioner training course in breath for that because it had a lot of new stuff.
That was
in it.
like 5 years ago,
5 years ago. Yeah. And I dove in. And what I found very impressive in that one, where we were getting into a few new things like tremoring, was really cool. And that's releasing out of the nervous system. But what I found really amazing was helping people to go into the parasympathetic state. In the breath work, because in the old days it was like push hard, and actually some people got re-traumatized, because it was too driven, Yeah, Kasia, you're nodding, right? We remember, yeah. There was a lot happened, right, in those
Don't
days.
hurt yourself while you're trying to heal.
Hurt yourself, And so so going back into the breath work, hitting deep, places, and then pulling back to the point where we could relax into a space of more relax into the parasympathetic nervous system and relax it. And I all of a sudden had deeper healings than I'd ever had before in breathwork, with the least effort, like just coming out into a gentler place. And I think that's what Dee brought up. It doesn't have to be hard and heavy. It can be gentle and soft because it's there that we can actually resource ourselves, but when you're in the thick of it, you're just like, holy shit, you're just it's intense, right? You're just like, whoa, I'm being with it, right? But when you're able to be a little gentler and softer, people can resource things there from within themselves, which gives them the confidence to go even deeper. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out because I thought that was such a cool kind of evolution in breath work.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's a lot of the work that I also do. I'll do workshops with beginners and try to explain all the different types of breath work, because now it's become, I don't like to use the word trendy, but it has become like this kind of trendy thing that people are so interested in, and they don't a lot of times know what they're diving into in the beginning. So all of a sudden they'll show up at, what I call a sonic breathwork class, which is more like a holotropic breath. And, we start talking and I didn't even know that they were coming. And I know that they're not ready for something like this. So, I do have these different beginner classes where we go into all the different types of breath that's going to calm you, help you release trauma, breath that maybe you could do before a cold plunge, all the different types. But definitely, even when I do my sonic breath work with people, I always bring them back at the end. I think it is so incredibly important to bring them back into a parasympathetic state, because that's actually how I came into breath work. It was my first time many, many years ago. I went to a class, released all this trauma, and they were like, okay, see you later. And I was like, wait, what? Something crazy just happened in there, and all these feelings came up, and now what do I do with this? And then I was like, glutton for punishment. I went back again, and I'm like, okay, well, this time tell me what to do after. And they're like, oh, you'll be fine after, just let's do this again. And the same thing kind of happened. I released more, but I never knew what to do with it. So that's why I became personally, I went into being a practitioner, because into helping people with this, because I want to be able to support them afterward. That to me is, to bring them down gently, help them to heal, integrate, and then to support them, because it's just so important. What's the point of doing all of it if there's no support afterward?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's where the community comes in, and lots of follow-up.
And that's where ANAHATA takes up so much slack in the breathwork community, because it's counted in, out, 108 rounds on 12 chakras, right? So, and there's 3 paces of in and out during each 108 rounds of in out on each of the 12 chakras of the system that we align with. And that allows people to be in rhythm with others and feel that safety net where they don't ever feel. And the field will it's like in Yogi Bhajan Kundalini Yoga, the thing they say that I always quote is, keep up and you'll be kept up, right? Keep up and you'll be kept up. And it doesn't mean keep going and then eventually you'll catch up. It means just keep up as best you can. And if you have to pause because a moment of stillness has come into you, some of my greatest complaints about lying down breath work with facilitators is they over facilitate me and they annoy me. They take me out of my process, and I'm so pissed off. I wish I'd never gone. And so
I agree.
Just so we're gonna play the field, even playing field here. There's over facilitation too, right? And it's like getting that neutral ground where you can really feel like you're safe to either let somebody come in or not, or go further yourself or not, and to have the follow-up, of course. But it's like, there's a lot going on in the world around the medicines and the breath, because breath is medicine. Of course, we can't live without it. It's not really medicine, but it's the medicine that cleans our body every day, and using our breath well. And that's why we ended up with ANAHATA, because it's the healing system that we use, quantum touch, it's basically a breathwork modality with an energy healing component fitted into it so that you use the breath for a reason in this.
I would love to hear more about it at a certain point. I am also a Reiki master, so I'll do Reiki while I'm doing the breath work, and I've always found that it's a nice combination. I think it's beautiful together, and I completely agree with over facilitating. I've actually done breath work with other groups where you're just like, you just take off, and all of a sudden somebody's like, keep going. And you're like, what? And you're just like jumped out of it. I completely
come
agree
and
with
start
that.
tapping on you with the worst breath on the planet. And you're just snapped right out of it.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah. Like when somebody comes around and touches, and, I've been in classes where I have been with friends that have trauma that they don't want to be touched. that's one of those things. So I always ask in the beginning, like, do let us know. And I usually don't do it anyway, because I do feel like it pulls people out. It's just, I don't know. I completely agree. So I would love to just learn a lot more from you guys. I'd love to hear about it. And I'm definitely going to go to your website and check it out.
Thanks, Jessica.
I think I'm in the right place at the right time. Everything is kind of divine timing. So.
Oh, so nice to meet you from so far away and so unexpectedly.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you.
There's that
also.
shine, just doing out that shotgun shine. He's blast this message out everywhere.
No, that's so sweet.
Well, thanks everybody. This was beautiful conversation.
Really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for posting this.
Yeah, my pleasure. So good.
All right. I'm going to jump off. Everyone take care. Thank you again.
Thank you.
See you, Jessica.
Bye, Jessica.
Take care.
So good.
I'm kind of buzzed now.
Yeah. It's so good. Thank you. Yeah, this is so important. It feels like, how there was, I'm thinking of this is still so early in this kind of phase of the world's growth, that there's not a ton of rules or expertise, or like we're all just kind of figuring it out ourselves. We're the guinea pigs. We're sort of testing it out and trying all these different things, and I feel like it's important to know that we're really kind of at the beginning of something, and those who've been, I've been doing a lot of journeying for maybe, I don't know, 12 years. You guys have been doing it for 30, 40 years. I don't know, more. Like we're learning as we go, and I feel like part of our role is going to be to help, because there's only going to be more people wanting to do this type of work, especially with AI and robotics coming in, and probably some sort of universal basic income. Like, this is the whole world is going to want to do this, or it's just naturally going to happen. That people are going to have more time, and the energy on the planet's rising, and so there's just going to be more and more people wanting to do this. And so creating these foundations and some of this, I feel like we are really sort of hacking through the bush and creating the trails and helping to set some foundation, not just us, but everyone who's doing this work around the world, to make it easier, so that when the next generation comes on, they're going to have it on their iPhone, and it's like, yeah, it's going to be on their wearable or their whatever, and it's just going to be easy. And it's like, oh, back off, you're going a bit hard. You want to regulate your nervous system like this, and da, 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 da. It'll be studied, and there'll be so much more around it. And right now, it's still just this like new thing that we're all figuring out as we go. It's a wild time. So yeah, good job, everyone. Love you all. Yeah. Mwah.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone tuning in too. We hope we get to meet you personally, and that'd be great. Yeah. As well.
Thanks, everyone,
for listening.
Much love.
GC.
Talk soon.
Okay, darlings. I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.